Right, new season, same old Tottenham Hotspur. Um, what's it to say about that one? Bit disappointing, isn't it? Not really how we wanted the season to start. I don't know. It's really annoying. First half, a lot of promise. Knocked the ball about really nicely. Created a lot of opportunities. Obviously, didn't take. Well, we took one of those opportunities, but didn't take many of those opportunities. Thought Solanke was pretty busy. Thought Maddison was doing all right. I actually was moaning about him at the very beginning, but he definitely grew into the game. Lovely assist. Porro's goal, lovely. Sonny looked like he was kind of giving him trouble playing down the left again. Johnson, probably less said about him, the better, really, to be honest. But we were all right. Pape Matar in particular, up and down the pitch, creating chances, harrying, pressing, filling in defensive gaps, moving the ball forwards. I thought he was really standout. Thought Bentancur was okay. I thought it was mostly about Sarr. This is really disappointing, isn't it? Because the second half, as soon as we were put under any sort of pressure, we capitulated. We knew. Come on, we just knew. You just knew as soon as Jamie Vardy was fit to play. I mean, was he even that fit to play? But as soon as Jamie Vardy was starting the game, we could be pretty certain that he was going to come and haunt us, right? He's one of these players, he's just got a bee in his bonnet with us, as so many sort of randos do. But yep, he scored. He scored the equaliser, and we just had no answer to it, did we? And it does. Look, it's the first game of the season, right? This is the thing that's important to say. It's the first game of the season, away at a ground that we actually have done all right at, to be fair, but still against a team who just detest us, don't they? Right? You know, it's one of those teams that has us on their dartboard, and there's no getting around that. You know, it's always, I don't know. It's never a banker, is it? That one, right? Leicester, as much as we generally do all right against them. I didn't fancy this one, first game of the season. And that's not even doing the whole kind of like pessimistic. I mean, maybe it is a little bit subconsciously, but I mean, they've been in turmoil, but I still just always feel like they're one of those teams that's going to try their best to do something against us. And I actually, do you know what? I actually thought they were okay as well. I don't think we need to completely turn this onto ourselves. I don't think this needs to be a complete kind of vivisection of Ange Postecoglou's system and his approach and what we're doing and our lack of transfer activity yet. I thought Leicester were actually okay. First game of the season in front of their fans. They kind of want to make a statement. I thought they defended resolutely. I thought they, especially in the second half, controlled the midfield reasonably well, controlled the kind of tempo of the game, and created a few opportunities. It's just disappointing. I think the main thing that disappoints me about this game, the two things, there's two things. There's a carryover from last year of us still not really creating many meaningful opportunities. I know Maddison had that lovely assist through to Porro, and I saw a lot of people talking about how kind of busy he was and how happy they were with what he was doing. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna jump on it. I'm not gonna be contrary for the sake of it, but I don't think he was brilliant. I don't think we really put anything on a plate for Dominic Solanke, to be honest. I don't think we created many clear-cut opportunities. And I kind of attribute that to James Maddison. Maybe that's unfair. I don't know. was having a good conversation on Blue Sky. Blue Sky now. Wow. About this earlier. With Jill and with Seb, actually. Seb Stafford Bloor. Been a while since I've had a chat to him. Just about Maddison and about our sort of hopes for him for the season and the sort of reservations that we have about him. And there's just sort of something about him that I honestly I can't quite put my finger on it because I do think he's a great player. And I'm sort of starting this pod off by going on about him, and I realise that kind of plays into the whole idea of him being a scapegoat. I don't really want this to come across that way. I'm just kind of, I don't know, going through the motions on this at the moment. I just kind of, I don't know. I don't trust him fully. There's something about him that I don't know. I kind of prefer seeing when Kulusevski was coming on. It kind of gave me a bit of a lift, and I think Maddison is probably at a higher level than Kulusevski right now. But I sort of feel like Kulusevski's got a higher ceiling, and there's just something about him that I kind of prefer. I don't know. I don't know. It's just this doesn't all like rest on James Maddison's shoulders. It doesn't. I think second half again, what we've seen of Sonny. I thought he was great in the first half. I thought he was busy. I thought he was keeping them. I thought he was a handful for Leicester. But then second half, I kind of feel like his legs went again a little bit. Age is starting to catch up with him. We started to see that. So that's a worry. Brennan Johnson. I don't want to kick the season off by really hammering into that lad, but I mean, that was a performance to forget, right? Am I alone in thinking that? Because look, Brennan Johnson had a good first season at Spurs. A good first season. I think his return was good. What was it? 17 goals and assists there or thereabout. Don't hold me to that, but it was near enough that, right? 15. I want to say it's in the bracket of about 14 to 17 goals and assists in his first season, which is decent. I think that probably does not tell the whole story. I mean, some would say if the return is that, then fine. What are you complaining about? And I kind of subscribe to that in a way, if I'm being brutally honest. However, I don't think he was particularly. I don't think he was. I don't think he was terrible, and I do think people jumped on him way too much last year. But I don't think he was brilliant either. I think he was very much a work in progress, and I think he probably still is a work in progress. He's a young player, but he just. Speaking to, I won't say their name just in case they don't want me to. But I was speaking to a friend of the podcast during the game, and he said that it's almost like Brennan Johnson is kind of our new Steven Bergwijn, a player that feels like he needs to apologise for playing football. That he just seems so apologetic in everything that he does, and there is something in that. I feel. I thought Pedro Porro was very good. I thought Destiny Adogi was solid. I thought he was good. Liked his overlap with Sonny on the left-hand side as well. Bentancur was okay. Sarr, I've already said, was great. I thought Mickey van der Ven, an absolute athlete. We know that. An absolute horse of a defender. Can track back like nobody else. Last-ditch tackles, fantastic. Is there something to be said for his overall defending? I don't know. Is that heresy? Is his positioning always the best? I think you could probably say the same of Romero as well. I think I've said that of Romero quite a few times in the past. I think Romero is a fine defender. But I kind of want to say, and I haven't watched it back. Come on, this is straight after the game. I kind of want to say that he lost Vardy. Did he lose Vardy? Could he have done better for that goal? Um, I kind of feel like he maybe could have done. That's just kind of maybe a take from the top. Let's have a look at some of the Sam Salinas in the comments said Bergvall. Are we going to agree on Bergvall? I know it's Bayval, Bayawal, isn't it? But come on, it's like saying Paris. You know what I mean? Paris. Where'd you go this weekend, mate? Oh, we went to Disneyland Paris. You know, just Bergvall. All right, Paris. Know what I'm saying? Brexit. Um, Sam Salinas says Bergvall is mustard. Yeah, I liked. He looked not intimidated at all, did he? Coming on, I don't really know what Vicario was going so mad at him about. I thought that was quite unfair. I thought Bergvall himself was a bit like, all right, mate, fair enough. Don't really think he did much wrong. So yeah, I liked it. I liked his cameo. Benedict Fox, we need to buy a striker. Maybe, but we've just bought one, haven't we? Solanke. Jask says, I wanted Romero to floor Vardy. I'm going to be honest, right? I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. If you're singing about a fella's wife, I think he has every right to coat you off. And for what I understand, your wife, I'm not policing your wife fans. Like, sing what they want. It's funny. Get under players' skin. But what I'm saying is, I saw a few kind of Spurs fans. I saw Romero being outraged about it because Vardy, he pointed to the Premier League badge on his arm and he said, "We've got one, you lot have got zero," to the Spurs fans. He's singing about his missus all game. I think he's well within his rights to sort of coat you off back. Don't know, just my opinion. Juice Nuts says, Taylor two halves. We were knackered in the second half. They seemed fitter. Do you think? I don't know. That wasn't an observation I've made, but that's quite interesting. Don't know if you think that. Baz O'Brien. Baz O'Brien. Nothing's changed. Same old rubbish. Can't defend. I felt like the defending was a little bit better, but still, when we were put under sort of an increased spell of pressure, we still crumbled, didn't we? And it was an annoying goal to concede. Callum THFC, frustrating. What says, don't take your chances and you get punished when you play as open as we do. Hopefully we'll be more clinical as the season goes on. I think that's a pretty fair thing to say based on today. Let's see some more comments here. We've got quite a few coming. I say we've got quite a few come in. I've got quite a few. We've. Me and my split personality. Delpha Chronic says, Dog's mess. Can't put teams away and we concede from a basic cross. Is it an overreaction when it happens a lot? Yeah, don't know. Don't know, mate. Nick Shipley, absolutely rubbish. Simon Rush, that felt very representative of us over the last 12 months or so. We looked incredible for the first 35 to 40 minutes, then massively flustered and looked like headless chickens. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And it's it is quite frustrating to see that rollover from the tail end of last year into this year, isn't it? Brian Park, good to see you again, Jack. Hello, mate. Good to see you. Thank you. Looks like we're way too over-reliant on cutbacks to score the perfect Ange goal. All possession and no substance today. That's a very good observation. That is a very good observation. Cutbacks. And I dare say, like, Leicester were pretty wise to that, weren't they? Weren't they? I don't really think we bothered them that much at all. Juan Hodges, that was a microcosm of Maddison's season-career. I mean, I guess you mean last season, right? Um, craps the bed as soon as adversity strikes. Maybe. Matty C, the capitulation after they equalised was pathetic. We started panicking and couldn't do the basics. Also, we still can't defend balls into the box and are making terrible decisions in the final third. Uh, I don't disagree with any of that, Matty. MD Hendry Photography. Hello, mate. How are you doing? Slow start, but some good seeds being sown. You can't love off seeds, mind you. Live, and then he commenced. But you can't. Maybe you can't love off seeds as well. But you can't live off seeds. You can't. And I think this kind of this brings me back to that point of that we've been talking about in pre-season, right? About our transfer dealings, because I have been pretty happy with the business that Spurs have done, right? I quite like the young players we bought. I think a lot of them are exciting. A lot of them look very talented. I mean, I know some people are going to say Bergvall was bought last year, but come on, you know what I mean. So I think a lot of these new signings do look exciting. They look good. They look tidy. It looks like we're buying with a particular plan, with a kind of purpose. And that's good. That's great. I'm not going to complain about that. The one thing I am a little bit worried about is barring Solanke, who is kind of like for like with Richarlison. The obviously the very crucial thing being here that he's fitter, touch wood, a lot more than Richarlison is. But in terms of ability, I don't. Is that unfair to say? I think fairly kind of. I'm not saying they do exactly the same thing, but I'm talking about sort of the level they're at. You would probably say they're fairly sort of like for like players. But okay, we can say Solanke is coming. He's given us more depth. He does have a different skill set to Richarlison. I think he's bigger, he's taller. I don't know if he's better in the air, although Richarlison's chance right at the end probably doesn't speak that highly of his aerial ability. But we've seen him score a few aerial goals for Spurs already. But he's rangy, he's big, he's quick. This is Solanke, so we can say I guess he's improved the first team. But other than that, we haven't really addressed any of the problems for the here and now that we've seen in the squad, right? We haven't addressed our midfield. And this team does seem to be so reliant on. I mean, there's a lot of talk about number 6. Seems to be a lot of like back and forth between a lot of people who are a lot more invested in the tactical stuff than I am. Between a 6 or an 8, what do Tottenham really need? A 6 or an 8? Either way, if the feeling is that we need a really top quality central midfielder, right? We've brought Archie Graham. We've got Lucas Stephen Bergvine on the head. Lucas Bergvall, right? Both of those two to play in the centre of midfield, great, but they're still very young players. They're still unproven. They're still junior players, really. Have we added somebody who is of a senior quality, of somebody with some experience? And I get that you're kind of running into the don't win anything with kids stuff, which is it's a reference for the teenagers. I mean, it's one that's even kind of before my time, really. But it's of the sort of famous Manchester United class of '92. I think it was Alan Hansen, was it, that said you can't win anything with kids, and then they obviously went on and made history of that team. So hopefully we can do the same. But when you hear of, and this is just an example, don't start coming at me with all the reasons as to why this transfer couldn't happen or won't happen or whatever. I'm just saying, just as an example, you hear at the moment that Ilkay Gundogan probably wants to leave Barcelona, considering his options, wants to come back to the Premier League. The people on Twitter seem to think he's just going to go back to Manchester City again. So whatever. But I'm saying a player like that, somebody in their mid-30s, won the lot. Wouldn't that be nice for Spurs to have for a season? Give him a season-long contract with the option to extend to a second season based on performances, right? Give him a fat salary if he wants a fat salary. He's a quality player. We know he's a quality player. And the likes of Bergvall, the likes of Archie Gray, even Papa Matasar, they can all learn something from him. Um, you know, I just think maybe we need another one in the door that's not a promising youngster. Is basically my point. Maybe we need somebody for like here and now that will go some way towards addressing some of these recurrent issues that we're seeing, mainly about. I think a lot of it, honestly, kind of a mentality thing in a way, and I don't know. It just feels like whenever we come under pressure, this Ange team comes under pressure, we tend to fold. And it's disappointing. Um, let's have a look. Jack Underhill says Johnson should never start. I don't know, but Nick Shipley also says Johnson shouldn't be starting games right now. Anyway, um, oh, sorry, the comments have jumped right down to the bottom. Go through. Simon Rush, did Madison get rattled by the Leicester crowd? Was he more focused on proving them wrong than he was picking the right pass at times? I don't know. I couldn't say. He looked very good in the first half, but yeah, he definitely faded. So, okay, here we go. Benedict Fox, he goes, there's a different opinion on Brennan Johnson. Brennan was good. Great tackles, great work on the wing, putting balls in. He faded and didn't beat anyone, but which is kind of the job. So I think that's fair. That's a more balanced opinion than just saying he shouldn't start and he was terrible. D Shagger says Son is so wasteful, hesitant in the final third. This isn't looking good. Ange needs to be brave and make the right decision. But what is the right decision? What, you starting Werner or Richarlison over Sonny? I don't know about that. I thought Sonny was good in the first half. Grant Echo Sonic says Johnson should be an impact sub. Hacker BLCPS, hello mates. Adobert will push Son to do more. Maybe, hopefully, but I mean, he's a young player still, so it's a lot on his shoulders, isn't it? I mean, he looks good in compilations. That's all I've ever knowingly seen of Adobert. But so let's give him a bit of time. Liam Toner, midfield worries, number 6 needed. Phil Mayo, Romero went to mark a man that Sarr already had and left Vardy. I thought so. Get back to what I was saying earlier. I guess maybe I've caught up to the comments at the point at which it was coming in live. I thought Romero lost Vardy. I thought he dropped him out there. Hacker BLCPS says Bargval. Okay. That's another. It's another. I've heard several pronunciations of it now. Wilson T, same old issues, not enough conviction in the final thirds. Krishna, here we go. Leicester fan here. I think you should do really well this season. You look dangerous when attacking, and Ange is definitely what you need. Don't know. Are you being sarcastic, Krishna? I don't know, mate. I don't know. But I thought, back to you. I thought you were good today. I've seen a lot saying that Leicester are a disaster. Yeah, kind of in loads of trouble. Cooper's an awful appointment. All this sort of thing. Thought you looked good. Thought you looked well drilled already in the sort of short time he's had with you. I think you'll be all right. I do. There we go. Grant Echo Sonic Vicario was criticising Bergvall for playing himself into trouble versus 2 Leicester players. Yeah, I got that, but I think that's unfair, mate. I don't think. I honestly, I think Mr. Echo Sonic. I think that's. I don't think that's fair. I think he'd picked up the ball in a decent enough position, and he just got closed down pretty quickly. I don't think he was trying to be overly elaborate or anything like that. I didn't think he'd done anything wrong there personally. Seymour Shepherdson, is there anything more annoying in football than a ref who doesn't know how to play advantage? James or Bell, how much longer can the club convince themselves that Johnson and Son are sufficient starting 11 wide options? Newman, here we go. Hello, mate. Jack, how do we balance the sky is falling with the optimism and hope that the whole season is ahead of us? Your mate Foynes is going with the former. He's usually measured, I thought. I I don't know. You always got to remember, like it's the tail end. It's the tail end of a game. It's live. It's straight after a football match, right? How do we balance it? I don't know, mate. We all do it in our own way, right? Because I feel fairly balanced at the moment. I'm not losing my ass after this. Um, there are things that are frustrating me because, like I say, there's a bit of a hangover from last season, and I don't think we were particularly convincing at all during pre-season. So that kind of did worry me a bit. However, the way I'm balancing it, and some people might not like this. Some people will either say that's annoying because we need to be thinking about the here and now, and other people will say that it's negative of me to feel that we're not capable of doing anything this season. But the way in which I'm kind of doing it is saying that we do have a promising future. I think, right? A lot of these young players look very, very good. It looks like we're buying with purpose. It looks like we're buying you know, with a sort of prescribed idea of how we want to play. But do I think, and I said this at the top of the season in sort of pre-season pods and all that type of thing, I I just don't I haven't gone into this season thinking that Spurs are a top 4 contender. But I don't mean that like negatively. I just don't think we're at that point in our journey right now. You know, um, a lot of people will always dig me out when I've said a few things about our transfer dealings and where we should be spending or how we should be spending. People will say, "Well, look, it took Arsenal a long time to back Arteta. He's 6 years or whatever into a plan now, and that's why they're giving him 100 mil to buy Declan Rice or everything." Right? It's only the past couple of years, really, that Arsenal have been even finishing in the top 4, even getting those Champions League places, So you just got to see it as that. Like, we are moving with purpose, and I'm happy with that. I do like that. But that doesn't mean I'm going to hide the fact that I don't think we're in the immediacy. I don't think we're great. I don't think we are. And I don't think that's a negative thing to say because I think we are building towards being great. But I'm not just going to pretend that I think we're really good now, nor am I going to say that anybody that sort of isn't predicting us to finish third or anything is negative or is trying to be a killjoy or is trying to do anything. It's just think it's a difference of opinion, isn't it? So that's just kind of where I am on it at the moment. I'm sorry if people think that's like, I don't know, trying to shit on the birthday cake or whatever. I'm not. I can only say so many times. I'm really happy with the direction of travel. Really happy with the type of football we're trying to play, with the way in which we're recruiting, the buying to a plan. Or I can only say so many times. But like when I look at Tottenham now, our squad, and compare it to us a few years ago when we were a team that had a few things gone our way, we could have won a league. We could have won a Champions League. You kind of looked at some of those older Spurs teams and thought, God, on our day, we can beat anybody. We're incredible. I don't feel that about Tottenham right now. I don't think we're that team. You saw a few people like when we were in that run at the start of last season saying like, I think we're already better than Pete Pochettino. And it's just like, no, 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 no. Come on. Come on. Don't be so quick to forget. Like, don't be so quick to forget quite how good we were there. But we don't need to compare and contrast to that. I mean, it helps as a bit of a yardstick for us, I guess, to sort of know where Tottenham are at in relation to everybody else. But I still think we're miles off Arsenal. I hate to say it, but I think we are. But I mean, obviously miles off City, probably miles off Liverpool as well. Remains to be seen. United, Villa, Chelsea. Who knows? Who knows how they'll continue this season? So maybe we can get top four. Maybe we can get top four because I would say there's only three teams who I would definitely say are hands down way superior to us. However, there's a number of teams, Newcastle, another one, who are kind of on our level, if not better than us, maybe. But I don't really know. You know, um, I can't see us putting up any trees this year. But I'd love to be proven wrong. And like I said, it doesn't mean that I don't think we're capable of doing that in due course. Snake says there was some flashes of vintage Bentancur before he got slumped. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Castle 5 says Son and Bentancur were shocking today. Time for Adoba. I don't know, man. I don't know. Look, I don't know enough about this kid to say, but I get it. I know sometimes we like taking the risk, chucking in a young player. It is quite exciting, isn't it? So Hack says Semenyo was the one to take from Bournemouth, in my opinion. Who knows? William Gardner, good to have you back with these live pods, Jack. You make it much more bearable. Thank you very much, William, mate. Thank you. As I always say, it's a mutual therapy. I enjoy doing these, and I'm glad some of you can take something from these as well, some sort of enjoyment or at least comfort. Comfort, is that the right way to put it? Some sort of comfort, something like that, right? That you can enjoy. So it's good to be back. It's going to be a bit rusty, right? It's a bit rusty already, but we'll see. Castle 5 says Decky greater than Madison. I kind of agree, but it's just let's keep that between us, mate. Aaron J. Poch is available. Time to get him in. He'd do better with this squad. We wouldn't leak goals every game. Come on, mate. We can't do this. We can't look. Just Pochettino is the US gaffer. What? I can't see. It doesn't seem to be anything official. Guardian says Maurizio Pochettino is close to accepting the role as the new manager of the US men's team. Well, fair enough, lad. Poch actually might do quite a good job as an international manager. That'd be interesting to see how that goes. I've always felt that the USA, I hate to say it, I know this triggers especially a lot of like British people, but European people in general. I always feel like the USA, and I've said this for quite some time, so my sort of hot take is dwindling, but I always feel like the USA, they could be, just given them the Americans' approach to sport and everything like that, the mentality, the if you don't win, you're a loser mentality. Not like in Britain where it's kind of like, well done for taking part. Don't be too smug if you do win, or if people do win, tearing them down. Look how arrogant they are. I hate them. Whereas in the USA, it's like, whoa, number one. Come on, you're all suckers, everyone else. Right? With that sort of mentality, you're a sleeping giant. You could be great. You could be such a good footballing nation. I just hear from Americans on Twitter that the most simple explanation as to why you don't get more elite kind of sports men, it's because you do in the women's team. Women's team are fantastic. I'm talking about the US men's national team. That a lot of boys fear that they're not going to get laid if they play soccer at college. This is what I hear. Genuinely, this is what I hear. And it could be as simple as that as to why the USA don't realize their promise as a sleeping giant in football. But an interesting conversation anyway. Interesting conversation to be had there. Sam Salinas, we're 3-0 up at halftime if Pedro Neto starts on the right. I don't know. Who knows? We can't do this straw man, can we? Madison just isn't scary. He can be silky smooth and put a ball in, but I wouldn't be afraid of him. Decky brings that, even though he doesn't have the tricks. I do like that. Yeah, he's a bit more combative, isn't he? Like I do, I think he's good. Castle has said as well, you're right. Today was humbling for Spurs fans. A lot of exciting players and direction, but it will take time. Yeah, and I think that's fine. I don't know about the humbling and all this sort of thing. Whatever. Um, it's fine. Cook past Tim. Hello, mate. Honestly, I'm just glad to see Ange trusting the kids at 1-1. Early days, but I think we'll have a good season. Yeah. And I think that's fine. It was nice, wasn't it? Seeing Gray and Bergwall coming on when we are at 1-1. I thought that's decent. That is exciting. I agree with you there, mate. Like that's good. Um Zimorg says, I watched that very game 25 times last season. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm just seeing if there's any more comments, really. JM, it will take time. FFS, I've been waiting for 15 years. Well, mate, I've been waiting a long time as well. I'm not, I get it. I'm not saying like don't be annoyed about it taking time. I'm just simply saying that's how it is. In my entire life, I turn 40 next year. I don't know how that's happened. I'm 39 years old now. I've seen Tottenham. I mean, in my lifetime, they've won. Did they win the UEFA Cup in '86 or was it '84? They either won the UEFA Cup when I was one or when I was -1, and then they've won an FA Cup that I was too young to remember, and then they've won 2 League Cups. And I've had some good times. You've seen the Champions League run and all that type of thing, but still, very little of Spurs won in my lifetime. So I've done my time as well, mate. I'm not policing you. I'm not saying I feel that. I feel that frustration. Absolutely desperate to celebrate Spurs winning something. And to sound grim, with my dad before he's not here anymore. And it's so mad. It's so mad getting to that sort of thing. But you kind of start thinking to yourself, if it's another 10, another 20 years, I might not even be here. I mean, we never know. We never know when our time's up, right? Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow could be your final day. But, there's certain things you want to see. There's certain things you want to do, right? Be nice. Spurs to you in a Europa League or an FA Cup. Go up the high road with my old man and just see him come past on a bus with a shiny thing and everyone out decked out in all their Spurs garb. Like, come on. Desperate for that, man. Why does that have to just be consigned to the realms of fantasy? Like it's mad. And so I get your frustration. I want that more than anything, mate. I want that absolutely more than anything. Or my only point is that, I think we're on a good trajectory as it is, right? But as I've already said at the top of the pod, I think if we want to realize something immediately, we need to add, like an Ilkay Gundogan, somebody like that, right? We'll see. Let's, I've probably gone on enough now. Let's do the players. Tottenham versus Leicester. 1-1. Right, here are the players. Vicario, very good performance. Went quite mad at Bergvall, but whatever. That's you want a keeper that's vocal, don't you? Fantastic stop down low when Vardy managed to carve a really good opportunity for himself to get a second goal. So great, great performance. What you'd expect from Vic. I feel like he was generally quite solid, good in the air, claimed the ball well, commanded his box, did all the things that you'd want him to do, distributed the ball well. Great keeper, right? An absolute gem. Pedro Porro, overall, very, very good performance, I felt. A great player, beautiful goal, lovely, lovely goal. Bit concerning that Ange seemingly, from what I could tell from the TV, when Porro's like limping about and broke down on the pitch almost, Ange was bawling and shouting at him to carry on, to keep playing, play through the pain or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how here I am for that sort of a thing. Maybe Ange just thought he was trying to time waste or whatever. I don't know, but it was fairly evident that Porro was not moving particularly well. That he was not, he was not in a good place, right? Christian Romero, let's give him a sort of 6 or so out of 10 tonight. Lost Vardy for the goal. I sort of just weirdly didn't feel like he was that assured tonight, but was still good, right? Mickey van der Ven. Honestly, I couldn't tell you exactly what it is, but there's just for the first time in like ages, there was just a little part of me that thought, "Mm, he's still young, isn't he? And maybe his defending isn't always that good. Maybe it's his awareness or his positioning. Like he is great, and he's an absolute valuable asset. He's an athlete, and the way in which he gets back and can win the ball back, fantastic. But there's just something there where I'm like, you know, is he that composed a defender? I don't know. Maybe he needs a bit more work for them. Maybe think he does. Maybe he's not quite the finished product yet, and that's fine. He's young. Destiny a doggy. I thought overall a very good performance. Do think he kind of faded a bit. Maybe he's not fully fit yet. But first half especially, I thought he overlapped with Son very well, and played the ball about pretty nicely. Pape Matar, lovely, lovely, lovely first half. Covered every blade of grass. Filled in defensive gaps. Was always there to pick up the ball from the defenders, carry it forwards, release it on to the players more advanced. Kept things ticking. Kept the kind of the flow of play at all times. A wonderful, wonderful player. As I said on Twitter, calm, assured, solid. I don't know why, for the life of me, he gets left out of conversations so often when people are like, coming up with starting 11s or talking about all the exciting young players that we have. People seem to sleep on Pape Matar still, and I don't really get it. A lovely, lovely footballer, and still a player who is developing. Let's not forget that. But I think he's great. I really like him. Rodrigo Bentancur, he seems to have had a really Marmite performance. I think people are very Marmite on him. I'm going to say it. I know I've been dug out. I got absolutely roasted on Twitter for going on about this week. I'm going to say it. I don't think the optics are particularly good for the club, and it makes me feel particularly uncomfortable that Yves Bissouma has been dropped for, off-field indiscretions, has to win back trust, and his replacement happens to be Rodrigo Bentancur, who has been racist to this summer, quite simply. He's made a racist joke about Son and Korean people at large, and it just doesn't sit well with me. But I'm not going to, go on about it, because I know people don't like talking about things like that, right? I mean, you need to ask yourself why you don't like people talking about that if you don't like things like that being spoken about. But I'm not going to pontificate to you any further. James Maddison, good in patches, pretty slick. Spoken about him quite a lot tonight. But, quite a Maddison performance, I thought. Lovely assist, but, Brennan Johnson must do better. Son Heung-min, again, like I say, thought he started the game very well. Faded. Time is catching up with him a bit. Legacy planning, contingency planning, all that stuff seems to be in full flow, but maybe we need to, do a bit more of that. Nico Williams is still there. That's all I'm saying. He's still right there. Dominic Solanke, I thought was bright. I probably haven't spoken about him enough tonight. Let's talk about him a little bit now. Dominic Solanke, I thought was very bright tonight. Really promising. Was a nuisance. Was running about a lot. It was funny. It was funny, and don't jump down my throat. I'm just saying it's funny seeing a striker kind of do what Harry Kane doesn't do, or isn't really able to do, in so much as move about as much as Kane can. I know obviously what Kane can do is score probably 2 at least of the even half chances that Solanke got this evening. So don't get me wrong. I'm just saying his kind of skill set for this system, the way we play, you would say is kind of more suited to it on paper. But I'm not going to start doing the whole revising history and pretending like, Harry Kane wouldn't still score loads and loads of goals and be a massive asset to this team. But I really like Dominic Solanke. Don't need to compare him to Harry Kane. It is going to happen just naturally, as it's just how it works, isn't it? But I thought it was good. Really liked it. I do like that he carved out a couple of meaningful chances from half chances. I don't really feel like any of them he could have done. I mean, he could have literally scored, but I don't feel like he'd done much wrong, if you get what I mean. I don't feel like, that's really disappointing he didn't score that chance there. He should have done better there. I don't think he missed any sitters. That's a more concise way of putting it, right? In terms of subs, Richarlison came on, didn't really have much time. Alan Smith seemed to revel in the header that he put wide in the dying moments. Lovely ball from Bergvall, by the way. Absolutely beautiful ball from him there. Could Richarlison have done better? Maybe, but still feels harsh, right? Archie Gray, I couldn't really tell you what he did when he came on. I think he had a few touches and he looked okay. Lucas Bergvall looked very good, looked very nice when he came on, knocking the ball about, eager to get the ball, eager to receive passes. Unlike Pierre-Emile Højbjerg shouting out Mason Greenwood on his Instagram stories and all that type of thing, who would run around, hide from the ball, flap his arms about, and many of you would have a go at me for pointing that out and criticizing him. But isn't it nice to now see a Scandinavian player on the pitch who doesn't do that, who looks to move into sort of space around one of his teammates who has possession of the ball to receive a pass, who looks to kind of move into meaningful space, who can actually do kind of good. I mean, that's kind of unfair because Højbjerg, to be fair to him, has a pass in his locker. He was all right on the ball at times, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. I can't take that away from him. But still, Lucas Bergvall looks very bright. I don't need to turn this again into... People would probably thinking they'd at the end of me going on about Højbjerg. I promise it won't be your season. Lovely from Lucas Bergvall. Timo Werner, I don't think he did much wrong when he came on. Don't think he was particularly brilliant, but he looked all right, didn't he? I think he had a couple of meaningful runs. He was okay. Dejan Kulusevski, I thought very nice when he came on, straight into the thick of it. Lots of bustle, lots of endeavour. It's what we want to see. Jed Spence came on right in the dying embers. Didn't really have any time to do anything, did he? So that's kind of that. But look, a disappointing start to the season. I think we can say that. Disappointing feels maybe a tad harsh, but, it just kind of... I don't know if it lowers expectation or I don't know if it sets the bar anywhere. You want to start the season with a win, don't you? And we didn't get that, but such is life, There's plenty to be excited about, I feel, going into this season, despite what I've said at points about, me feeling that we're sort of early on in the cycle. I still think there's going to be some ups and downs, but the ups are going to be good. I think we're going to probably have a spell in this season where we look really, really very good, and you see what we're all about, and you see what Ange wants us to do and what he wants us to be. And it may be fleeting, but we'll see it, and it will be good, and it will be glorious. And hopefully, it comes in a cup competition, and we can carry that through that cup competition and win that cup competition, and have that imagined at the moment dream scenario of Tottenham atop an open top bus holding up a big shiny trophy with all of us there in all of our colours, having the time of our lives, because we're long overdue that. But we can't expect these things. We can only hope for them. It's the hope that kills you, but really, it's the expectation that does. It's the hope that kills you. It's the hope that keeps you alive, in my opinion. Hope always does. I don't know. So I don't want to get too kind of Lord of the Rings about it, but it just is what it is. We've got to look forward to the season because what's the point? It's the first game of the season. It's a Monday night. We're away at Leicester City, a club, team, city that utterly detests us. And we haven't lost. We could have lost. I kind of felt that we were going to lose at certain points tonight, but we didn't. We clung on and we did all right, right? So that's what we're going to do. If you are watching this live, please drop this a like, subscribe, share it, all that type of thing, right? I can see lots of you watching, right? You've only got 10 little thumbs up at the moment. There's a lot more of you watching it than there are thumbs ups. Give it a thumbs up, right? It's the least you can do, right? Please. Share it and subscribe to the channel, put on the notifications, all that type of thing for when I do these. Because sometimes I will do some of these lives during the week at random times when I get random pockets of time and I think, go on, let's do a little live because there's something to chat about. So if you put on the notifications or whatever, you'll know. It'll come up and you can hear me waffle on about something else. If you listen to the audio version of this, thank you very much. Please leave a rating, leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts and wherever you review your podcasts. Also have a Patreon, patreon.com/RTRpod, where there's lots more stuff. I do pre-game ones of these. I do a Thursday Spurs Day podcast with Phil, where we go through all the news headlines. Loads of other things, basically. Got a few ideas for a couple of things this year. So jump on that. Free trial for 7 days as well. If you come and have a listen. Come and have a listen to some of the stuff for 7 days. If you don't like it, don't think it's value for money, then don't have to subscribe. Patreon.com/RTRpod. But anyway, thank you, everybody. Start of a new season. Good to see many familiar old faces there. Thank you for the support. Hope you've enjoyed the stream. Hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Come on, heads up, chins up. Come on, you Spurs. We'll get there in the end. We'll get that big shiny trophy. Just believe.